Hello and welcome to my channel Dinar and Dong Updates, IQD and VND Revaluation. Could this be the financial shift of the year? In the ever-evolving landscape of global finance, the possibility of a significant revaluation of the Iraqi Dinar, IQD, and Vietnamese Dong, VND, has become a hot topic of conversation. Investors, currency traders, and financial analysts are on high alert as speculation about an imminent announcement spreads across social media and financial news channels. Could tomorrow be the day these currencies take a major leap in value? Or is this another episode in the long history of unconfirmed rumors? Let's unpack the latest updates, evaluate expert opinions, and explore what such a shift could mean for global markets, your investments, and the future of digital finance. What is a currency revaluation, and why does it matter? A currency revaluation occurs when a country's monetary authority officially raises the value of its currency relative to a foreign benchmark, usually the US dollar. This is the opposite of devaluation, where a currency loses value. Revaluations can have far-reaching consequences, affecting inflation, interest rates, foreign investment, trade balances, and national economic policy. For countries like Iraq and Vietnam, which have experienced prolonged periods of currency suppression and black market exchange rate discrepancies, the idea of revaluation represents both a financial and psychological shift. It could signal economic maturity, increased global integration, and a willingness to adapt to international financial standards. Why are IQD and VND in the spotlight? Iraqi Dinar, IQD. The IQD has long been viewed by some as an undervalued currency with revaluation potential. Iraq, an oil-rich nation with strategic geopolitical positioning, has faced economic setbacks due to war, instability, corruption, and sanctions. Despite these challenges, it possesses massive natural resources and is working towards financial reform, including the modernization of its banking infrastructure and exchange rate policies. Currently, Iraq operates under a fixed exchange rate regime. However, recent statements from key financial officials indicate a shift towards a single, market-driven rate. The introduction of a digital dinar and reforms, supported by international bodies like the International Monetary Fund, IMF, have added more fuel to the speculation. Vietnamese Dong, VND, Vietnam's economy has rapidly industrialized over the past few decades. With strong exports, especially in electronics and textiles, the country is positioned as a rising player in Southeast Asia. Despite economic growth, the VND has remained weak against major currencies due to tight controls by the State Bank of Vietnam, aimed at maintaining trade advantages and economic stability. Much like Iraq, any serious move by Vietnam to allow market forces greater control over its currency, or a sudden revaluation, would ripple across international investment and trade markets. The role of the IMF and international digital finance initiatives. Adding a new layer to the discussion is the increasing focus on digital currencies. The IMF has been actively working on updating its financial frameworks to accommodate a world where central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, might become the norm. Iraq, in particular, is reportedly exploring a digital version of the dinar, a move that would align it with nations like China and the EU, which are already testing or rolling out their own digital currencies. A digital dinar could simplify domestic and cross-border transactions, reduce corruption, and improve the transparency of government payments. This potential transformation is being closely monitored, especially given Iraq's strategic importance in the Middle East and its complex relationship with U.S. interests. As part of a broader framework, Iraq is also reportedly working to integrate armed factions into its national military infrastructure, a political move intended to improve internal stability, which is crucial for any financial reforms to succeed. Official versus market exchange rates, the push for unification. Iraq currently uses a dual exchange rate system, with an official rate set by the central bank and a separate market, black market rate used in real-world transactions. This creates confusion, inefficiencies, and fertile ground for financial manipulation. Recent policy discussions suggest Iraq aims to unify these rates into a single, stable benchmark. This would remove pricing inconsistencies, make the economy more transparent, and provide clarity to investors and foreign partners. It also suggests a move toward a more open, globally integrated economic system. Vietnam has similarly maintained a tightly managed exchange rate, allowing only gradual adjustments. A significant revaluation would represent a major shift in policy and confidence in the country's long-term economic strength. How a revaluation could affect your investments. Whether you're a currency investor, a business owner involved in international trade, or simply someone watching from the sidelines, a potential revaluation of the IQD or VND could bring major implications. 1. Currency traders and speculators. Those who have held IQD or VND for years in hopes of a future payoff could see substantial gains if the revaluation is significant. However, it's essential to approach this with caution. These are highly speculative assets, and past rumors have not materialized. A modest revaluation might occur, but not necessarily the dramatic surge that some hopeful investors anticipate. 2. Businesses engaged in trade. A stable, unified exchange rate would help businesses by removing the unpredictability of currency fluctuation. Companies that trade with or operate in Iraq or Vietnam would benefit from reduced transaction costs and improved budgeting. 3. Local citizens. For everyday people in Iraq or Vietnam, a stronger currency could improve purchasing power, making imported goods cheaper and reducing the cost of travel. However, there's also a risk that rapid changes in the monetary system, especially the introduction of digital currencies, could alienate those without access to digital financial tools. The digital currency factor. Iraq's digital dinar. Digital currencies, managed by central banks, are transforming the way governments think about money. Iraq's push toward a digital dinar, backed by international oversight, suggests a future where physical currency may be phased out in favor of efficient, traceable digital systems. This could enhance the government's ability to regulate the economy, fight corruption, and ensure that financial aid and salaries reach their intended recipients without leaks. The digital exchange rate concept would allow for real-time adjustments based on market forces, ensuring more responsive monetary policy. For travelers, it could simplify exchange processes. For businesses, it would mean faster, more secure transactions. Challenges. Ahead. Resistance, risks, and reality checks. While the promise of revaluation and digital transformation is exciting, it's not without obstacles. Resistance to change groups that benefit from the existing system, such as currency traders operating in the black market, may resist reforms. Additionally, not everyone is comfortable with digital finance. In countries where cash is king, a shift to digital systems will require robust education and infrastructure development. Inflation concerns. If the revaluation is mishandled, it could trigger inflation. A sudden increase in the value of the local currency without matching economic growth can lead to higher prices, reduced exports, and financial strain for citizens. Short-term volatility. A move towards a single exchange rate or the release of a digital currency might cause short-term disruptions in markets. Investors may pull out temporarily, and speculative activity could increase, causing volatility that impacts both local and international stakeholders. The role of oil in Iraq's economy. It's impossible to discuss Iraq's financial future without considering oil. Oil revenues make up over 90% of Iraq's national income. This dependence means that global oil prices have a direct impact on the strength of the dinar. A higher, more stable dinar value might be more realistic during periods of high oil revenue. Conversely, if global oil prices dip, it could threaten the country's ability to maintain a stronger currency. Implications for foreign investors. Foreign investors typically seek stability, predictability, and transparency. If Iraq and Vietnam successfully implement these reforms, especially unifying their exchange rates and launching secure digital currencies, they could attract substantial foreign direct investment, FDI. However, uncertainty or poorly executed policy shifts could deter investors. That's why the process must be gradual, transparent, and backed by international institutions to ensure confidence. How to prepare. Practical steps for individuals and investors. 1. Stay informed. Monitor news from official sources such as central banks, the IMF, and credible financial analysts. 2. Diversify holdings. Avoid putting all your financial hopes into one currency. Spread your investments across multiple assets to manage risk. 3. Use caution. With speculative assets. If you're holding large amounts of IQD or VND in anticipation of revaluation, remember that these scenarios are rare and complex. 4. Embrace digital finance trends. Whether or not you live in Iraq or Vietnam, digital finance is the future. Understanding how digital currencies and exchange rates work can help you make smarter decisions. Final thoughts: hope, hype, or historic shift? The buzz around a possible IQD and VND revaluation has captured global attention once again. While the idea of a MAS,